Hey guys, DFA here, welcome back to the channel, and today we are taking a look at the fifth part of my aircraft carrier guide, and I'm sure it will end someday, but not today my friend, not today. So part 1 was about general advice and how to play CVs, how to position yourself. Part 2 was about the fighters, part 3 was how to fight destroyers, a very useful one. I recommend you watch it, we'll be talking a lot about it today. Part 4 was about dive bombers, showing you the accuracy of all the dive bombers in the game and which kind of targets you should be using them against, and we are today going to cover the target selection process that I used when I play CVs. A super important piece of advice that I never managed to cover so far, but I do have two gameplays for you of CVs that I have not covered yet on the channel, the Black Shokaku first and the Hornet as a second gameplay, and during those two gameplays I will simply explain my thought process and why I choose to prioritize certain targets over others. Let's get started. And we do start with a little trick that I've shown you in the CV versus DD guide. I do send my bombers not on that silly wangi but on the battleship right behind it, because I want that silly wangi to not think for a second that I'm actually going to attack it later on. Yep, there you go, that's usually how you do it. Yeah, because the conventional wisdom is that you absolutely have to attack and destroy every single DD on the map as a CV player at the beginning of the game, but let's be honest, first I completely disagree with that idea, that's number one. And number two, you must have the skill to be able to do that, and to be honest, I really do not have the skill to destroy DDs that know that I am coming for them, so I try to use a little bit of playing tricks, etc. to get the advantage over them. Now let's talk about target selection in itself. The general rule for target selection is to pick the closest, most dangerous and most isolated target that you find on the map. And there we actually have a number of options. You do have battleships in front of us, 3 battleships, but we also have 3 battleships in front. But I noticed that that cross or down is, number one, not protected anymore by the silly wangi, but it's also faced with a DD and the cruiser, and that's typically things that the cross or down eats for breakfast. So this is where I will actually focus my strikes and try to influence the outcome of the fight on that flank as much as I can. So I know there is still a DD on the enemy team, it's probably on the right part of the screen. I don't think I have seen it yet, but we're going to leave him alone, and we do float that cross of down, therefore giving a massive boost to my team on the left flank. I do move a little bit forward to get a little bit closer to the action, but not too close, not too close. I think it's time to go in reverse now. And to think about the next move. What is it going to be? Ah, there you go. That's the enemy DD who's on the right. I think it's Kagero, if I am not mistaken. At the moment, he's absolutely not a danger to my team. He just took one of my DDs out, so I know that I have to watch over him in a couple of seconds. And sure enough, my team won the left flank. Next target, that Monarch is trying to run away. He's been badly damaged, and I'm going to actually sacrifice squadrons to get him, because I will put them in the middle of an AA concentration. Not a lot of them are probably going to make it back, but it is very important that I actually finish that battleship, because number one, it's a fairly dangerous one. The Monarch is an absolutely brutal ship, and number two, yeah, it's also got a fairly decent amount of AA, so if I can take him out, that's already quite nice. We're still level on points at the moment, so sure enough, there you go. That should give us the advantage at this stage of the battle. And now it is time to think about our next move, and remember the DD that we left on the right flank a couple of seconds ago. I'm going to see if I can actually spot him with my fighters, because yeah, there you go. Take them around there, because as we speak, he must not be very far from our base or our battleship who's covering our right flank. So yeah, there you go, sure enough. Here it is. So you notice that in anticipation I had not sent my dive bombers towards the hipper that was right in front of us, because the Kagero now becomes the closest, most dangerous, most isolated target. And yes, I do have a battleship between him and me, but yes, oh shit, Jesus, the dive bombers all missed. It's never a good idea to be sending your dive bombers against that thing. the torpedo bombers do a much better job, but the DD decides to smoke up, and I'm immediately changing my priorities because actually I'm going to go for the Hyper because the DD has been completely smacked in the face by the battleship and is actually a one-shot for the dive bomber. So next time I hope that my dive bombers are actually able to put at least one bomb into it to finish him off, and in the meantime let me make it easier for the cruisers of my team on the left flank, who is now in a 1 versus 1 versus the Hyper and the battleship potentially right behind it. So yeah, the Kagero in the meantime managed to heal a little bit. I'm sending my dive bombers again, not my best idea because as you've seen they missed up, so they missed again, so yeah. I guess that's just how it is. General rule is unless you want to keep them spotted, just do not send your Japanese dive bombers against destroyers, you're wasting them. So, situation update, one of our last strikes. I'm actually not going to send my torpedo bombers against the DD anymore because there is a Benson right in front of it, and when you look at the minimap you see that my cruiser on top is in a much more precarious position because there is a Bismarck coming next to him. Yeah, it's a Japanese cruiser, so at that range he will probably be able to put a couple of torpedoes onto the Bismarck, but he will also probably take a fair amount of damage, and let's see if we can actually help him by softening that Bismarck. So essentially, sure enough, he got deleted, and yes, the Bismarck gets set on fire and flooding. I don't know if he's already damage gone, but this is the battle that I will keep supporting because yeah, now it's a 1 versus 1 with my battleship, and if the battleship gets deleted, yeah, we're kind of losing that battle, so now I just have to pray that none of my ships gets deleted before the end of the game, and sure enough, let's see what happens. Can we actually keep them alive until the end of the game? Come on, Monarch, stay alive, 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 stay alive. Ooh, yes, we did it. That was a pretty tough one. A couple of seconds later and we would have lost that battle. So, would you have made the right of the same choices? Well, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's take a look at the Hornet gameplay right now. And so what did we learn from the first battle with the Black Shokaku? We did learn a couple of things. So number one, you prioritize targets based on your assessment of the situation. That is the closest, most dangerous, most isolated target. And number two, you be patient. You do not have to be sending all your squadrons right away, all the time, everywhere, all at once. No, you have to really take the time to think about what you're going to do with your planes, what will be your next move. And so for that second gameplay, we're going to add another variable into the game, and it is going to be a center control map. And if you have watched my series on how to win objective-based games, you know that you kind of have to get into that circle. It's uncomfortable, sometimes it's a bit hot in there, but yeah, that's kind of how you do things to win those center control or epicenter battles. And as a CV, you're not going to get there, but you're certainly going to make sure that the enemy ships that decide to get in there pay a certain price for it, and that's what you see me do right away. That's where those DDs become a priority target. So I did focus the bombers on the Hyper a little bit earlier because he was going in the direction of the cap, and that Akatsuki, that's going to be my priority. I absolutely have to remove those DDs from the center control camp, and I usually try to do that by focusing on ships that are already busy with someone else. That Akatsuki, for example, was already busy dodging torps, and by coming from behind I do put a couple of torpedoes on target. I should have done better, but it's already not bad. And as you can see from my team deployment, we do have all the reds in front of us, and half of my team is just going somewhere. So it's really up to me to be taking those DDs out of the cap, and that Akatsuki I decide to focus it because he's actually being hunted by the Mogami. He cannot turn to the right, he becomes a very easy target for me, and that's my general rule for engaging DDs. You try to make sure that they do not see you, that they're busy with something else, and it makes life a lot easier. So the Black Reaper decides to leave the area, yeah, because he's kind of getting the feeling that I'm focusing him, so it's probably not the best place to be right now, but I'm still going to focus him, because number one, it's still probably the most or the closest target to the cap area, and I've also already set him on fire and he's already damage gone, so I can follow up nicely with a squadron of torpedo bombers and flood him, and that's easy damage for him, and it's probably going to deter him from pushing forward. And speaking about deterrence, we do have another cruiser that is probably thinking about getting a little bit closer to the action, but no, we're going to make sure that he understands that if he decides to get into that cap, I'm going to focus him as well, and sure enough, turning around, and he gets a nice welcoming committee. So we do have Odin fighting North Carolina outside of the cap, because that's how you do things, right? So I don't have to worry too much about it, because normally Odin against North Carolina, Odin takes the cake every day, every single day of the week. Yeah, so let's maybe take down that Black Reaper, because that's the only target of the enemy team that's in the cap, and therefore it becomes my priority. He's also preventing us from capping at the moment, so yeah, let's take him out. Attack target! So, assessing the situation, so now we're in a position to keep the cap in our hands, because we do have a battleship, DD, that's coming close. The Mogami is also thinking about entering, the Odin is focusing on the CV. Let me see if I can actually help him. Oops, that's a little bit too late, but I'm going to ignore the cruiser entering the cap at the moment, because he's not in a position to be doing anything against my team. He does have 3 ships in front of him. Let me see if I can actually focus the CV, because at this stage the game it's still pretty close, and if I can take out the enemy CV, that's going to be a massive boost for my team. It's going to make my life a lot easier as well. So we haven't really mentioned the points dimension into the target selection yet, but just be aware that, I probably know it, but destroyers 60 points, CV 90 points. If you get a clean shot at the enemy CV, you take it, simply because it's a lot more points, and arguably it's usually a lot more influential than any other ship classes in the game. So yeah, that should be your focus target kind in every game, if it's possible. Do not CV snipe, that's not what I'm saying. But if you get a clean shot like I have now, you take it, and sure enough, bye-bye enemy CV, and now that game becomes a very easy win for us. So what do we have left? The Kansas on my left is absolutely useless. The North Carolina is pushing towards the cap, therefore becomes my priority, because the schooner is actually turning around, so I absolutely do not have to focus on that DD. Completely useless at the moment. Yeah, let's get rid of that North Carolina, and sure enough, that's going to end the efforts of the enemy team to get into the cap, and yeah, that's going to cement the win. Now it's an absolutely easy win for us. So what do we have left? We have a DD, yeah, that's being chased by an Italian DD, so I'm going to focus too much on that. I'm going to farm the Kansas on the bottom part of the screen. First I'm going to find it. And yeah, that's going to be the end of the Aircraft Carrier Guide Part 5. I hope that you enjoyed it, that you learned a couple of interesting things. I think it's a very valuable topic, quite a lot of lessons to be learned from you, and maybe you probably disagree with a lot of my choices. That's fine, you know, when you're in the middle of the action, you do not necessarily think in the same way. But sure enough, it's important to stop from time to time, to reflect, look at the minimap, say, okay, where is my team winning, where is my team actually losing, and where do they need a little bit of help, because yeah, you could just simply farm damage and go for the easy targets all the time. Yeah, that will lead you to nice stats, but probably not a nice win rate or MVP rate in any case. So sure enough, our last torpedo hits that Kansas, well, Tickles him, but yeah, it is what it is. If you are not patient with the Hornet, you can very easily get it deep laned, at least for the torpedo bombers, because the dive bombers, yeah, they're kind of impossible to take down. So, sure enough, that was the end of the Aircraft Carrier Guide Part 5. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a couple of very interesting things. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And I will be seeing you soon. In the meantime, stay safe, take care. That was DFA signing out. Bye bye!